If you haven't heard by now, there is a big change incoming for the free application for federal student aid, otherwise known as the FAFSA. While there are a number of changes that are taking place this coming school year from the 2024 to 2025 year, the big one taking place is parents who have children who are going to overlap in the college years. So, for example, if you have multiple children and they're going to be in college at the same time, such as having a freshman going into college and a sophomore, junior, or senior, you're going to notice a pretty sizable change. And unfortunately, it's not one for the better. What's going on, everybody? I'm Danny Sinowitz, the college dude. So today we're going to talk about one of the large changes that is taking place here with this upcoming school year due to the FAFSA Simplification Act. It specifically will affect parents who have multiple students in college at the same time. So let's first talk about some terminology, some things that were happening the previous way that will be changing moving forward. But the first thing that we want to take a look at is the expected family contribution. That term is going away and will no longer be an applicable term when it comes to the financial aid landscape. The expected family contribution used to be a measure of a family's financial strength as defined by the Department of Education, and it would usually be the starting point of how student financial aid would be rewarded. One of the big things about the expected family contribution, or a notable piece to it, was when you had multiple children in school at the same time, the family's expected family contribution would be divided by the total number of children in school. So, for example, if your expected family contribution was $40,000 a year and you had two children in school at the same time, let's say you had a freshman and a junior in college at the same time, the EFC would be split into two. So for your one child who's a junior, the expected family contribution would be $20,000, and for the freshman who's in school, it would also be $20,000. Why that's important, or how that came to be, is the expected family contribution, specifically when it comes to federal financial aid, would be the starting point when it comes to actually awarding this type of aid. So things that do matter when it comes to your expected family contribution in the past would have included things like the difference between a subsidized or an unsubsidized loan, things like work study. If you had a low enough expected family contribution, you would increase the likelihood of receiving things like work study, and you'd also increase your chances of receiving a subsidized loan as opposed to an unsubsidized loan. The Student Aid Index, or the SAI, is replacing the expected family contribution, otherwise known as the EFC, this year and moving forward. The SAI is going to be different than it was with the EFC. However, the big thing that is taking place for families with multiple children is that the SAI will not be divided by the number of children in school. So if we use our previous example, if you had an expected family contribution of $40,000 with two children in school at the same time, $20,000 each would be the expected family contribution. Moving forward, it'll be $40,000 each because the SAI will not be divided by the number of siblings in school for that child. When we talk about what this means, it could mean the likelihood of a decrease in federal financial aid. Again, it may or may not be the case where it could bump you into having to take out an subsidized loan as opposed to a subsidized loan. The difference between those two is that the interest does not accrue while the student is in school on an unsubsidized loan. However, upon graduation, or if the student is no longer enrolled, he or she would then have the interest start to accrue on the subsidized loan. On an unsubsidized loan, the loan interest begins to accrue right away, which is why it's important to make sure that you know the difference between whether you have a subsidized or unsubsidized loan. But with a higher SAI, you decrease the likelihood that you'd be eligible for that type of subsidized loan. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that it could hinder your ability to receive something like work study. Work study can really come in handy because it's a way that the school can actually pay tuition directly for you deciding to do some level of work, whether that be on campus or off campus. On the flip side of this, schools will often sometimes award their own institutional aid. Many times they judge the institutional aid that they award based on how the student is determined to have financial need. So if a student has a higher SAI, it could be the case where the school is willing to give out less institutional aid. To be very clear, merit-based scholarships such as athletic scholarships or academic scholarships, which require a certain GPA or SAT score, should not notice any type of effect with the differences between the EFC to the SAI. But if a school is rewarding aid based on need, then you could notice that there would be a change at the school level as well. Schools that it won't affect are schools that use the institutional methodology. So you may be familiar with the term the CSS profile or the institutional methodology. These are schools that have a different way of awarding institutional aid as opposed to federal aid. So in order to receive institutional aid at a school like that, you need to complete a separate form called the CSS profile. The changes that have taken place with the FAFSA, at least to this point, are not having any bearing or change on the CSS profile. So the way that schools can look at this that use the CSS profile is they are still going to continue to award the aid as they have in the past. But it could be different for children and for students that are applying to these schools based on the federal financial aid benefits in which you're eligible for. For more information on this, be sure to check out the page www.thecollege, where we break down the difference between institutional and federal aid and talk about the many ways in which you should best be paying for college. In terms of what you should be doing to take action now, you should have an understanding of what type of school your child is attending. Is it a federal methodology school or is it an institutional methodology school? If there's going to be sibling overlap in the college years, you want to make sure if you already have a child who's enrolled in a school, in a federal methodology school, that you call your financial aid office and make sure that there's not going to be a significant in the type of aid that's rewarded in the next couple of years as your child's attending. By speaking with the financial aid office directly, you can get an idea if the institutional aid will change. What you should also be doing is calculating your SAI to determine if there's going to be a difference in federal financial aid moving forward. By having a better understanding of how your federal and institutional methodology aid will be rewarded, you can then have a better feel of how to best budget for college to avoid large student loan debt, such as Parent Plus loans, or any additional types of private loans that are out there which can disrupt you and your retirement or hinder your chances of your child getting off to a good start financially. As always, this information is meant to be general and educational in nature and not meant to be taken as specific advice. If you have questions on your specific situation, it's best that you reach out to your financial planner, your tax preparer, and your tax attorney who can help best come up with a plan for you when it comes to paying for college. If you have additional questions, check out the website www.thecollegedude.com. Feel free to like this page, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more content when it comes to saving and paying for college. Until next time.